Hello, this is a reading for my Scorpio friends for the beginning of the year. This is January 2017. This will be the first reading I've done for you, so if you haven't already, please check out my introductory videos on how I approach the tarot readings and what you can expect to get out of it and that sort of thing. Um, anyway, I'll get right to your reading. Today we have, for your current situation, we have the King of Wands. And what this indicates is that you are a very visionary person. You've got these ideas. You know how to fix things, like you are in a spot where you can look out at the world and see all these things that you could accomplish to really make an impact or make a change, and that sort of thing. And it looks sort of easy to you. It looks like if you only had a little bit of power or something like that, you would basically be able to change the world for the better in almost every way. Like you can clearly see through, um, things in society to be not as healthy as people believe them to be, and things like that. What's crossing you is the Hierophant, or also called the High Priest or the Pope card, which indicates sort of legalistic systems of man-made, invented systems, societal systems. So the Magician card is a figure that sort of channels raw energy from the universe. The Pope card sort of channels energy through society. So it's sort of like the idea the idea is sort of combining magic with power and channeling everybody's creative ability into the creative ability of a few or one. And that's sort of what's crossing you right now. So you may feel that you don't want to have to conform to the lifestyle that's being asked of you by your society, by your immediate surroundings, by the people around you. If your interests are spiritual, you may be feeling anti-religious, which is a perfectly natural way to feel, even for people who end up in the clergy. They often go through periods where they sort of become disillusioned by what they're doing, because they sort of recognize a certain type of futility about it. But then they turn back and they think, well, somebody's got to be doing this. Somebody ought to fill those shoes, and why not have it be me? And you'd be surprised how much of the clergy is exactly in that predicament. In your higher thoughts or in your consciousness, I see that you have the Knight of Wands. Very energetic card. This means you have a lot of anxiousness to sort of get out there and do your thing. You want to have some freedom, some creative freedom to be able to bring your will about. You're feeling very restrained. I can see that. In your past, I can see that you have the King of Coins here, which it's kind of sad because it means you've been extremely diligent. You've tried really hard, and some people may not even appreciate the effort that you've put into this because you're seeing the world a different way than they are, and so it's like really pulling teeth just to humor people, sometimes for you. And you've been tremendous at it. You've done a really good job at it, even if you've had an outburst here or there. You've done a really good job of trying to maintain, playing by the rules, trying to play by the rules. And what you're finding here is that you're not going to be able to play by the rules. You have a rebellious spirit, and because of that, rebellion is probably going to be the only way for you to get through this situation, and that's okay. That's a good thing in and of itself. Every path leads to the center. But for some people, if your subconscious is primed in such a way that you automatically form this sort of affinity for the repentive way, or that is to say, to submit to the authority of the church or to other humans, to tell you what's right for yourself. If you're sort of brought up in that dimension of reality, then oftentimes the path for you to obtain enlightenment is rebellion. Rebellion against those structures, and sometimes ultimate rebellion. You come to a point where you feel so dirty, right? That God that loves you, he could never love you or whatever. You come to that deep darkness, and then you recognize that he still does, right? And that there's nothing that you can do um, that would sort of reject that love, that it's just sort of a natural product of your existence and the universe, that you are bathed in that. Um, and so if you recognize that, it doesn't give you this effect that you can just do whatever you want, right? It gives you the effect that everything is perfect, and you're loved, and you gain a respect for the system, the way that things are. Um, and that is opposed to diving into these hierarchical um, religious structures where every time somebody tries to use some sort of human made or man derived authority or interpretation of scriptures or something like that, you'll find it fills you with rage. It fills you with anger that people would have the audacity, that they would be so um, because you find that these people have to be enlightened to a degree. They have to know something about this. And for them to be enlightened to a degree and totally ignorant of like the subjective nature of truth and paths and things like that, or for them to assert that they know the correct way for all individuals is really audacious. And it angers you because you realize how much damage that does to society as a whole, especially to individuals like yourself. But then again, think about it, because it's what got you where you are. So um, it's not a bad thing. It's just a different path to the center, and they all lead to the center. So be okay with that. What I'm seeing for your future or moving forward here is the Four of Cups, which is again telling me you need to be careful to maintain your perspective, okay? Because you've done a really good job of delicately crafting and holding this sort of view of the world. You've been building it very carefully and cautiously, meticulously. Um, People don't necessarily see you as a sage type of person. They view you more as an onlooker, right? But you're much more clever than people realize, because you're letting them talk. You're letting them do the sort of speaking, and your mind is working on it internally. You're really working things out, and people have sort of maybe misjudged you as being less intelligent than you are for a great deal of your life. But this is really telling you to be aware that going forward, this system that you've set up, where it's a great thing, a great accomplishment that you've done this, it's not going to serve you for forever. You're going to have to, they say the rules were made to be broken. Towers were made to fall. Everything that builds up has to come crashing down, and part of that is because we have to learn how to build better towers. So if they don't ever fail, we don't have any impetus to drive us forward and build better towers, So you're going to be going through a circumstance coming up where you're going to have to learn how to build a better tower, because the rules that you've learned, they haven't been fair. Somebody's been cheating you. And so you're going to have to unlearn a couple of those rules and go into sort of a new way of thought. And that's what we see in your and going forward in the future. Just keep in mind that this is a good process, that it may feel like it's knocking you backward a little bit, but the quicker you can see that it's actually not knocking you backward, the quicker you're already recovered. You know what I mean? Because you're only really knocked backward for as long as you believe you are. because instantly you're already in a better place than you were just by that realization. In your foundation, we do have the death card, which is showing. Think of this in terms of like an ego death. You know what I mean? So this is in your foundation or in your subconscious processes. So in other words, this system that you've set up is coming to an end, right? And don't worry, you're not going to lose it completely. Parts of it will come back, and you'll adapt it to your new way of life or your new incarnation, so to speak. Um, but it will cease to exist in the way that it currently does. So you're going to have a massive realization coming your way, a massive realization that is going to change sort of the direction that you feel your life is going in. Significantly. Your advice for the current situation is to take a mentor here, the Queen of Cups. She's who you want to emulate here. She's a person who is very, very in touch with her emotions to the point sometimes where she's almost delicate. So you may have felt going through the situations that you've been going through that you needed to develop a tough physical material exterior, you know what I mean? Or even like put on a tough face or that kind of thing. In this situation moving forward, that's not going to do you so much good. You're going to be dealing with people who can see past any face that you can put up. You're going to be dealing with things, people who feel like they can peer into your mind in a way that's going to scare you. And you're just going to have to remember to sit back, maintain that attitude of watching. That's going to serve you very well. And be as sensitive as possible. Start making a point. Make your game, right? Like we're always entertaining ourselves in some way, right? Make the way that you entertain yourself by paying attention to things that you normally don't pay attention to, if you get what I'm saying. So focus on, a painting that's in your bedroom or like the pattern on the wall or something like that. Something that you don't normally focus on, and keep your attention shifting like that on arbitrary things. Stop thinking about the same things you've always been thinking about, Facebook and all these things. Do this exercise where you just sort of randomly shift your attention to things that are not normally in focus. And you'll start to notice things pop out conspicuously, and it's almost as if they have meaning, you know? And what it is it's just your subconscious giving you a little cookie saying, good job, you're paying attention to your surroundings. Here's a little cookie. And you see some synchronous event that gives you this feeling of well-being. It's chemical, it's dopamine and serotonin and these things, but it makes you feel good because you're focusing more on your surroundings. And if you focus more on your surroundings, you have more power and capability to interact and manipulate those surroundings. So this is sort of, you're on a journey to learn what magic is for the first time, because you haven't really employed magic into your view of things, or maybe you haven't experienced it in a way that felt concretely real to you yet. You're about to go through that. So, reach out if it gets scary, because it can get scary. So, reach out to some friends. There are always people who would love to talk to you about these things and show you that there's a brighter side and that you don't have to be afraid. Your current environment is the Eight of Swords, which means that there's really only one way through this, and it's going to happen, and you're going to feel trapped, and you're going to feel like this is not fair, like you're backed into a corner, like there should be some way out of this, and there will be a way out of it, but that way out of it will be this sort of being pushed. There's something inside you, some action that you really want to do. And you've been suppressing that action for a really long time. And you're going to have to let it go. You're going to have to release it. And that might mean not doing what you want to do, or it might mean doing what you actually want to do. And you won't know it really until you get into the situation. But the stars are aligning here for you to go into a situation where you're going to have to face that decision. And in that moment, you're going to find out what you're made of. You're going to find out whether or not all this view of the world that you formed is really going to serve you or not. And we see that your fears card is the Hanged Man, which has been coming up a lot recently, which makes sense with the state of the world, the way things are. But this is about you fear not being in control, not taking the helm of your life, about being pushed. You always want to be the one that's pushing forward. And somehow that gives you a sense of security or stability that if you're the one grazing your path, somehow you feel safer. So what's happened here is in this society that we have, people are crazy. And we know that. We recognize that everyone around us is crazy. They're all nuts, and they are far, far more dangerous than anything that we find in the sort of natural world around us. And so we have this weird reversal of instincts going on in some of us, where naturally we're sort of driven to find groups, to form societies for protection. It's good for the species. But psychologically, something's going on here where some of us are waking up to the fact that this is not what it appears to be. This isn't the safety that it appears. And that nature somehow is kind to us compared to these systems, these societal systems we've set up. Nature is far kinder to us than people, and that's unsettling to some of us because we thought that we were doing this to get more comfort, and now we find it's all failing. But moving into a place where you recognize that magic is real, that intuitive powers are real, and intuitive properties are important. Moving into that sort of a place, you can have a feeling sort of helplessness sometimes because you can't use your mind for this. You can't work your way through it. This is trying to figure out or to obtain a piece of knowledge is like trying to bring an idea into your sphere, And if your sphere is too small, then you can only really see a part of an idea. You can't see the whole picture, how it fits into things, right? But sometimes we detect that there's a really good idea, and so we just hold on to that idea for a long time, and we let it expand our mind. But then once our mind's expanded sort of beyond that idea, it's time to let that one go and then, attach on to a new, bigger idea. And sometimes that doesn't happen for the first time in a person's life till like their 30s, And when that happens, they go through a significant shift. Some of them have a hard time dealing with it. This is it can be a time of depression or like manic episodes and that type of thing, but it can also just be like the most positive experience you ever go through in your life. This could be like when you're turning yourself on, you know what I mean, where your ambition goes through the roof and it's just really good. Your overall message is the Five of Cups, which is I think, again, telling me that this situation that you're about to go through is totally out of your control. It's happening, whether you want it to happen or not. And what you can do is remember your focus and remember that it's only a bad thing if you see it as a bad thing. In this artwork, there's two cups that are there behind, which are upright, and then the three ones are spilled, and she's sad about those because she's staring at them and not looking at the other two. So going through this situation, remember your focus and remember that whatever you're going through and however hard it is, it's making you a stronger person. It's preparing you for something better, So keep that in mind, and going forward, I look forward to doing more readings for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments for me. And thank you very much, my Scorpio friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.